Lights, camera, action, scotch tape, duct tape, scissors, Lee Perry, Terrence McKenna, J.G. Ballard. Welcome back. Artist Journal, July 17th, 2024. Broadcasting everywhere from Berlin, Germany. My name is Adrian Pocobelli. Welcome back, and here we are. Let me zoom in here. This is not typical fare for the cover of the newspaper The Imagination, not because of the bona fides of the artists, bona fides. It is because of, it's kind of hard to see. That's why. And as people are walking by on the sidewalk, passing the newsstand, so to speak, you kind of want something big, powerful, in the sense of colorful and everything. But there are times for exceptions, and Die With The Most Likes, one of the most prolific, consistent artists in this entire digital art space. And of course, I only really track what's on, I guess, X and Instagram. You know, that's kind of my main fodder, and then whatever else I happen to pass across on the web, which is not as, who goes to websites anymore? To a certain degree. I guess you go to Object. I go to Object still. But, it's like you go to X, you go to these platforms. In a sense, Object is a platform. Video is consuming everything, isn't it? I mean, how do you consume your news? I mean, how often are you going to read the article? We're off topic here, just a little bit. But all to say, again, this is not typical fare, but when we zoom in, we kind of get a closer look. So Die With The Most Likes, again, I'd say one of the greats, frankly, of what's I think we could loosely call the crypto art scene, right? I mean, Die With The Most Likes, I would say kind of walks a beautiful tightrope where, in a sense, he has one foot, I would say, in kind of the deep crypto art scene, and one foot where he just does whatever the heck he wants, and it's all his. It's not like he puts Pepe on every single work. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but you know what I'm saying. It's not like there's an Ethereum logo everywhere, once in a while for satirical reasons. And this is a very important point as we try and understand what is going on in this work, is I think we could call Die With The Most Likes a satirist of a sort. In the tradition of Jonathan Swift, William Burroughs, maybe especially in its harshness. Let's take a look let's first take a look at this work. Then we'll bring up, actually, Die With The Most Likes Twitter. Not my notifications, but let's just do a quick search here on Die With The Most Likes. I never understood Toad Swibback. I've never understood that. It's probably something obvious to everybody else. We'll bring this up we'll look at this in a second, because it's important to kind of get a sense of how much work is not minted, since this is on Ethereum. Sold for a lot of money, by the way. Vincent Van Gogh, minted Die With The Most Likes on July 15th, so 2 days ago, purchased for 11 ETH and 11.69 ETH by Vincent Van Gogh the same day. Kind of a weird, I thought at first I was really impressed, and I still am, but I thought kind of a weird first bid, to be perfectly frank. But maybe Vincent Van Gogh, a patron of the arts, particularly of the crypto art scene, we could say, maybe Vincent Van Gogh, it's a kind of patron, so to speak, giving patronage to all the work that Die With The Most Likes does that is not sold. And again, remember, seeing this, and for those that don't know, Ethereum, what is it at? Let's just guess at 3,300. We're talking like $37,000 for this digital artwork here. A major sale. Coats We Once Wore by Die With The Most Likes. So let's look at the work. So here it is on Art of This Millennium, which again is what I'd be tempted to call, as far as I understand, what does it say? I was going to say a crypto art platform. Art of This Millennium is a global gallery specializing in contemporary digital art. And from just, yeah, I'd say it's got a very, I'd be tempted to call it, and they don't like the capital C, the crypto artist, but I was going to say a capital C crypto art out here. Although, again, with Die With The Most Likes, who's to say? This is just, maybe we just call it digital art. So coats we once wore, and let's look at this little write-up because I think it gives us a clue as to this kind of hard to understand, hard to see, at least on this screen here, work. We went to the bar where Vonnegut wrote Slaughterhouse-Five, and this is a very important part of Die With The Most Likes work, is the writing. There's constantly this kind of very edgy, satirical writing, which kind of never lets up. And watched an 80-year-old in a Slipknot shirt, warm frozen patties on an electric grill, and a man read a newspaper from 2 days ago and wondered where the moon got so full or where our coats got so heavy. So pretty actually obscure. And here it is a little larger. So let's see if we can discern a little bit. Kind of a classic Die With The Most Likes imagery would be these kind of frames in the background you see here. It's hard to tell if they're screens or photos that are being hung, right? Hanged, I guess. And so that is in the background, kind of these highlights of what maybe is this bar. And then you have these, and you get this great contrast here too between, say, these frames in the background that move and then these still figures here. And again, I always think of Cap'n, who will kind of animate half the pixel artwork and then half of it will be static, which makes a beautiful contrast. You see it here, right? The contrast between the movement and the still frame. It kind of adds a kind of poetic weight, I would be tempted to say, to the figures here. As we can see, almost like drooling, eyes kind of, basically blotted out. Even the cheeks, everything, so, and even almost like the sweating, is that sweat? Is that some sort of skin issue that these figures have? And here, it kind of looks like a burger, right? Or something in this kind of barbecue. But really, we see these kind of faces, these heads, almost like a cannibalism of a certain kind. We see another kind of move here with this kind of older figure. Again, the rosy cheeks, almost like a clown. And then these little figures, if you can see that, just in here, almost coming from the tears, so to speak, or are those the nerves, the optic nerves? And here seems to be just a regular taco, but even here you could argue there are figures hidden in. And this beautifully kind of one-off, in a sense, Die With The Most Likes deserves a lot of credit for his line drawings. He has a very nice line, doesn't he? And again, after you see, we've all seen, who are paying attention to this scene, have seen hundreds of works by Die With The Most Likes. It seems like there's 2 or 3 a day. The guys, and last I heard, I don't know anymore, last I heard maybe a year or 2 ago, he was still working a full-time job, amazingly. So you really have to, it kind of reminds me of Uxine, who I believe also works a full-time job. And, they're able to, I marvel at that because I feel like I am always just struggling to get to my, computer, iPad, iPhone, and make some work. So, and this show should be shorter. Let's hope so, as long as I don't wax too long here on this work, but there's other things to see. So this seems to be a grill. It's ambiguous. And you see here, the hands actually seem like they are cut off. They look like they are on the grill with maybe a video camera here, and here outpouring the blood. And here on the barbecue is really what looks like suburbia. Maybe one of the great subjects that Die is, portraying here. And interestingly, even the power lines you would find, and I think Die With The Most Likes, if I'm not mistaken, is out of the Midwestern U.S. So even these power lines that you'll find along the freeways of these, this isn't New York City where you're going to find these power lines, but I grew up in Saskatchewan, Midwest of Canada. And yeah, this is not an uncommon sight. Power lines from the 1950s probably strung across the landscape here. And here they are, across what seems to be a barbecue. And I only say it's a barbecue because of the write-up, which mentioned a barbecue. So again, blotting out the eyes here, beautiful color and beautiful combination of movement and stillness, dynamism and staticness, we might say, and static lines. And even the rendition of suburbia here, and of course, beef being arguably the main subject matter, or at least the one we attribute to Die With the Most Likes more than anything. This kind of ground beef obsession, one could say. Almost these houses here in this kind of suburban looking street almost seem as if they're portrayed as meat, which wouldn't shock me at all. And there, these chopped off hands photographing it in all its splendor. So quite a work, isn't it? Let's look at the title one more time with all that in mind. Coats We Once Wore. Pretty ambiguous. Our coats got so heavy. So pretty powerful, pretty interesting, pretty beautiful. So big congrats to Die With the Most Likes and Vincent Van Gogh for that work. Now, I did want to just show, because it's very important to understand this artist, to see the X or Twitter profile. Die With the Most Likes, create nothing, consume everything, legalize beef, the lips and holes of a generation, non-award winning energy drink. Die With the Most Likes, places we used to go. So, and of course, here, again, does it again, July 11th. Now, is this even minted anywhere? Right, and of course makes physical work, right? I think we saw this one the other day, actually, in the show, in the physical art section. And here, again, kind of, very topical, a modern day satire. We see these like tablets with like chopped off hands. We see the lights that you use if you are recording. Right, a lot of the YouTubers have these kind of lights. I have one of these lights, which I use if it's at night, And so an interesting move here, actually, on the faces. But this is just an example of like a pretty nice artwork, right? Even the color and the black and white contrasting not minted. Kind of rarely mints. And I think of Heck, Joshua Sobel, where he was saying, don't flood your market. It's not necessarily in your interest to over mint. Maybe this is a good example of what Heck is saying, because they're Die With the Most Likes collecting a cool, annual salary for his work. And as you can see, pretty rough stuff, but, as anybody who's kind of very Burroughsian, frankly, very William Burroughs, and there is the artist. And it looks like a collaboration here, not sure entirely, and doing a ton of physical work. And again, the squiggles, which we've seen, turning it into ground beef here. And of course, the squiggles, we're looking at the market like a week ago, 2 weeks ago. Right here is the Pepe. I guess he is doing the Pepe, but as ground beef, and the flies, right? I think started on Tezos, interestingly, and kind of makes fun of the spam that he gets, I assume. And Super Rare Bot, look at this. And this sold to Vincent Van Gogh July 16th for $22,000. So, I mean, I never even saw this one. I'm not sure if this is new or not. Shall we look very quickly? But we have another hour cutoff here. I think we're going to make it, though. When was this minted? It's always kind of hard. Here we go. Activity. This was minted back August 2nd, 2022. And 22,000. So, okay, so that is a secondary sale. Vincent Van Gogh canceled the auction, made an offer, accepted bid. Okay, so not exactly sure what happened here with the canceled, but all to say, this just sold for $22,000. So, pretty impressive. Now, Yeah, so let's just leave it there. So Die with the Most Likes, again, almost everybody who pays attention to this scene is familiar with, and yeah, just again, doesn't mint a ton. Should probably be featured more on this show. Like it's totally it truly is an oversight, and we have shown actually quite a lot of Die with the Most Likes work, but deserves more attention, frankly, but has no shortage of attention at the same time. Let's continue here. Tuna Kuna, regular Jake. Yo, I'm pumped for this. Going to be on the spaces today. Try and make it if you can. Lots of new stuff to talk about. So do check it out. I'm going to try and upload it before before the space, so people have time to see this. I'm very excited about this. One of the great collectors on Tezos, and I'm just curious as heck to hear what Tuna Kuna, also known as Regular Jake, is going to say, so come join us. And what's this? Okay, so that's something different. Okay, so awesome. Quick look at the comments here. I changed the title after Yuri J's comment. We'll see in a second. GM Adrian, beautiful selection as always. Rada, awesome to hear from you, Rada, as ever. Thank you for the comment. And I believe that is it for the comments on YouTube. And here we go to X, John Cates, GM, awesome to hear from you. Great Western glitch artist, Philip Francocci. Thank you so much for featuring my work, Adrian. The piece you showed is a collage of a physical drawing and AI outputs based on my work. Fascinating. With the black and white part being made up of manipulated Midjourney outputs. So, again, remember that comment from last show where it's like, you better mint before AI comes and nobody's going to know what's... I'm not sure. It just shows, like, this is how artists, I would argue, a lot of artists are using AI. They're using it as, it's kind of like Yuri J using the effects. Like, it's kind of like an effect of a sort. To a certain degree, just the effect is, it's like a tool. AI is a tool in the toolbox, but it's not like I think people sometimes run away with, and then we're never going to have artists again because, and so we'll continue this discussion. Thank you, Filippo Francocci. Fascinating and really interesting in regard to our discussion. Retro Manny, awesome. Coffee ready. Finally get a bit of downtime to enjoy an episode on its actual release date. Yeah, I'm trying to get back to the regular kind of schedule here. As you imagine, this is a one-person show out here, so I always appreciate the patience of this crowd if I don't put out a show or it's late and everything. So awesome to hear, Retro Manny. Little Cakes, on the topic of the artsy article. The cost of running a physical gallery and selling physical works is astronomical. Not just the rent, but the crating, the shipping, the storage, and so much more. It's amazing that any gallery can make it, even if they are regularly selling work. Completely agree. And I suspect, Little Cakes, this is becoming truer and truer in a world where it's almost becoming, like there was even stories I think we saw maybe a month or two ago, maybe 2 months ago, where some blue chip galleries were looking to collaborate with smaller galleries because the business for smaller galleries is basically dead, so to speak, or non-existent. So I think this is becoming truer and truer. And what does that mean if you're an artist? If you're not in that kind of top 3% of already at Gagosian, and I'm looking at some of the Gagosian, like I'm even wondering if things are going to start to crater there. That's what I wonder to myself. And actually, we have stories on this coming up. All to say, I think this digital space continues to be a wonderful, attractive place. Keep building before the masses come is still my mantra here as far as how I see this space. Like, I don't know why everybody's not here. I really don't. $100, I think they don't know about it. I think it's that simple. I think if, so... Again, I'm kind of back to what I said last episode. Enjoy the fact this is small, because it may not be small forever. And I've been saying that for a couple of years now. And I just think we're fortunate. Let's continue. Chrome Void, because it's not so small that we're not making money. If you put out work, most people are selling, even if it's for a few bucks here and there, which is kind of very good for the soul as an artist to actually just get a couple of bucks here and there. You start to put your mind to work. Let's continue. Chrome Void. FYI, this is the wonderful cider flower work is a collab based on Nice Day Jewel's flower project. So thank you so much, Chrome Void, for mentioning this. I missed this. And actually, I have the OpenSea here. So we're going to come back to this in a few tabs here, where we're going to look at this project specifically, because I didn't realize it was a collaboration between Cider and Nice Day Jewels. We'll go deeper in this in a few tabs. His Dribble Waffle still is a good intro for sure. A hip classmate made me a cassette Closer on one side and Closer by Joy Division. Closer on one side still is a good intro for sure. A hip classmate made me a cassette Closer on one side by Joy Division and Debaser by Pixies on the other. Understood Pixies, Joy Division was a very slow burn until much later. Very true. Joy Division is an acquired taste, but once you kind of acquire that taste, it becomes, you never let it go. It's like riding a bike, like you never unsee it, or unhear it. Been digging Surgeon, I believe the techno artist. I actually listened to a mix after this comment by Surgeon for deliveries lately. For what it's worth, so a famous techno artist, again on some of Jeff Mills' early mixes there from the 90s. Oh, and Nintendo 64 Mario artist on the Sync project. Okay, so N64. So Waffles, unafraid of trying any software and just doing what Waffles can with it. So thank you for the comment. And as I was saying actually to Waffles, Joy Division, a very slow burn. I remember the second day I was ever in Berlin, this is true, and I ended up at Berghain by, I hadn't even heard of Berghain, even though I was very familiar with techno, but I didn't know that was the, world's kind of most famous club at the time. And Surgeon was playing, and that is true, and I think that was the moment I decided to move to Berlin, and that is a true story. No Hygiene, awesome to hear from you. Kwampa, awesome to hear from you too. Thank you everybody for the comments. Quick look at the community here. Biviki GM posting a Sky Goodman work, collab between Marcel Mantianu and Olga Fedorova, GLB Digital Sculpture Fashion Bliss. So very cool, fascinating. Someone almost wearing TVs. Why haven't we seen more of that on the runway? I wonder to myself as I see that. Very cool. Texadelic, I think we saw this last episode, and there it is. Awesome. Celebrating us, celebrating everyone here. Thank you, Texadelic. 69 Ghosts, another interesting, kind of strange, almost video game-esque pixel art abstract, post-human fairy tales work series. Fascinating. And Simulacro, here's our newest piece. We're very happy with it because we're getting to rehearse about the body and its limits. And Simulacro's work always looks like it belongs in some sort of institution or something. Very cool from Simulacro. And Chris War, a new chapter is coming for audiovisual experiences on Tezos. So more from Chris War. Very interesting with a beautiful glitch here. And finally, Rosacio from my early collection on OpenSea. Thank you, Rosacio, for posting. Look at how beautiful that is. The color. And 69 Ghosts, Us in the Mirror, and Juan Pez, the new collection on object.com. So very cool physical there. And Ariel, we have this work. Zhu Ziliang, thank you for posting. Very interesting work as ever. There's a robot dog underneath. Texadelic and Austin. And we saw this last episode. Thank you, everybody, for posting. And just some comments. Yuri J., who made this work here, who we started with last episode. Thank you, Adrian, for your words. Outlines of Our Lives probably will go to my bio. Yeah, I actually changed the title of the YouTube to this after you wrote that, hilariously. It was too late to change it here. Evolution of a process is fine too, but I thought YouTube's probably going to be around longer than people finding the videos on X, so I figured, maybe I'll switch it over to that. I did this little digital study in just 1 hour as a little gift on Santiago's 3-year Hiket Nunk or Han birthday. And here's a bit of the process of variations that were mixed to make a tree. So here is this landscape. So almost like an impressionist here. All plein air, or at least using a photo for reference. Look at how kind of vertical this photo is. And then you see everything that goes into the tree these look like all the layers here, or at least the process of getting the layers. I mean, and here is a bit of the process of variations that were mixed to make a tree. Now, as you can see here, this is the tree. Oh, wow. So these were also, so I was saying this is kind of a weird tree, right? This is a weird tree because it's kind of got this really big trunk, but really what's going on is it's being repeated. And there's a virtue in working fast. There really is. You can really, because you don't have I'd argue your rational mind isn't stopping you from taking risks, and you just have to do what works. And what's amazing about just putting in stuff almost randomly and fast is how much works. That is one of the shocking, weird things of being an artist that you realize is how much works. So very interesting. Thank you, Yuri, for the posts there and for the comment. This was hilarious from Santiago. If Yuri J didn't exist, could you make a Yuri J with AI? So the question from last episode in regard to AI, and oh no, you better make art before AI comes because nobody will be able to tell what's real and what's not. And I talk a lot here. I don't remember everything I say. I was glad Santiago highlighted this because I actually think it's a powerful point I was making. If Yuri J didn't exist, could you make a Yuri J with AI? Interesting question. And I think actually, didn't Yuri, I thought, and actually it's somewhere buried here. Just for the record, Yuri J replied, and the answer is no. The answer is no. So fascinating. Thank you for posting that. Very interesting. Brain dead. I admit that this one is a bit confusing, yet thanks to Adrian for diving deeper into my Purgatory Room collection day by day. And yeah, forgive me. Sometimes I just have to go through these, fast enough to not know, so I can't give it, the full treatment. Currently, I'm working with the 5th piece, and soon it's going to be minted exclusively on Super Rare as my Ethereum Genesis. And by the way, that is a crib right here. Okay, so thank you for letting me know. Fascinating. Kind of surreal pixel art here. And we're going to see, actually, Braindead actually bringing in 0.33 ETH on that Genesis. So very impressive. Okay, so here is the Flowers project. FYI, the wonderful cider work is a collab based on Nice Day Jewels' flower project. And so I brought it up here. So this is Nice Day Jewels, who I think is a prominent collector as well. It's 50 one-of-one photographs from Nice Day Jewels. Each flower dynamically reacts to the ebbs and flows of Ethereum in real time. So kind of on-chain art. Interesting. So the glitches respond to the Ethereum data, I think is what's going on here. And Cider seems to have remixed all of these works. And thank you, and we heard from Jules. Thank you, CV, Chrome Void, for the shout-out here. Very cool to see Cider Flowers highlighted here. And here is the thread. And it's too long to go through here, but let me just show you back to Flowers began in January 2020 as a daily practice. I sought to rediscover my creative voice, which had faded after a decade of client work or working, let's say, in the corporate world. Woke up every morning before my 9 to 5, drove to the flower depot, picked a flower that spoke to me most, shot it on my lunch break, rinse, repeat, experiment. 100 days later, my voice was coming back. So very cool. So here it is. So you can read all about it or hit pause on your video if you want to read the whole thing. The Flowers Project was my first venture on the blockchain, a body of work I've promised to continue to pay homage to. So it's 2 years since the mint and the next step in the project. So now Cider has remixed some. There's maybe going to be other versions. So long live crypto art, long live Flowers. So Jules, with this project here, look at the floor, 2.5 ETH. So congrats to Nice Day Jewels on that work. Margot ETH, GM Artists and Collectors. So I hadn't seen this, at least not for a while, and I kind of, again, there's so much going on in this space, it's easy to miss. I'm thrilled to be featuring Mikkel Nolson on NFT Art Discovery. So this is a website, we're going to bring it up in a second. Definitely an artist to keep an eye on within the Solana community and has been doing fabulously on the Solana community. Of course, Mikkel Nolson, one of 2 people, along with Chi Moscow Jackson, who actually encouraged video on this show when it was still a Spotify experiment. So big props to them. And here's the website, NFT Art Discovery. It's quite nice. Latest discoveries, Mikkel Nolson, and a whole, write up here. Or actually, interesting. So not too much of a write up. And then you hit links, and then it just takes you. I actually really like that. Because who's going to read, 3 pages, 4 pages? I don't know anybody. If you think of your friends, or are you? And so this is brilliant. Just a couple of paragraphs, and then here are the links. Smart format, if you ask me. So this was posted by Alain Servet, who, again, I love the Twitter feed, and we were looking at the brain the other day in response to psilocybin. I wanted to highlight this because there's something very interesting here. Scientists reveal a fascinating neurocognitive trait linked to heightened creativity. So this is on SciPost, and again, tweeted or posted by Alain Servet, and there was, and I had it highlighted here a second ago. And where is it? Now, it's this idea that creative people respond. Here it is. In other words, creative people might. Here it is. Gross told SciPost. So Gross being one of the researchers, I believe. Here it is. Our study found that creative individuals do not perceive unusual information as odd. They process it similar to typical information. And this is a very interesting tidbit here. Because, when I think of visual art, I like to call myself radically unsnobby in terms of what I consider art. I feel like a billboard can truly be more profound and more beautiful and powerful than something that's put in a gallery. Just because you put it in a white cube, so to speak, does not necessarily infuse it with some sort of special magical property. In a sense, it does, but this is an illusion, is where I'm going. You can find graphic design. And in a sense, this is kind of, I'd say, what Warhol did. He took popular imagery, transformed it, as we were discussing a couple of shows ago, and voila. Right? I just wanted to highlight this. Our study found that creative individuals do not perceive unusual information as odd. They process it similarly to typical information. So they don't start categorizing things too quickly. They just kind of accept it. Very, very, very interesting. Let's continue. And I thought this quote of John Cage by Lonewick actually fit perfectly with what we're discussing. So John Cage, the famous composer who used randomness, prepared piano. Wherever we are, what we hear is mostly noise. When we ignore it, it disturbs us. When we listen to it, we find it fascinating. Kind of another take on what we were just discussing. Instead of being, this is not typical information noise, we need to get rid of it. It's all just data that we're just kind of looking at kind of objectively, so to speak, and not unassumingly, perhaps. So interesting quote there from Lonewick. We have another one coming up. Alain Servet, the art market confidence indicator this month hit its lowest point in 4 years. Despite a sense of optimism earlier in the year, confidence levels have been dampened by lower sales in the global art market during the first half of 2024, stifling any signs of recovery. And anybody who was optimistic on the contemporary art market earlier this year, I think, was clearly deluding themselves. It was very clear that the appetite is not there for the contemporary art market and spending huge amounts of money on, debatable pieces, shall we say, or edgy, shall we say. So Alain Servet weighing in on that. And also another post by Alain Servet, another great link here. One of my favorite Twitter accounts or X accounts, Alain Servet. This is on Art News. Christie's auction sales down 22% in the first half of 2024. So again, more signs of, again, I keep calling this a liquidity market. If it's a Warhol, it does fine. If it's kind of more on the fringes, as you see in the stock market, then it starts to have more financial liquidity issues, so to speak. It's not as easy to get in and out of. It's not so, and therefore it doesn't do as well. It becomes a less attractive investment. Christie's, the world's largest auction house, reported Tuesday that it generated $2.1 billion in live and online sales in the first half of 2024, a figure that represents a 22% drop from the same period last year. I'd say still not bad, but not huge, actually. I thought at first, wow, that's a lot, but you know what? That's not huge, considering, some of these. And that was last year in the middle, when was the bear market? 2022 to 2023. So this is down from last year. Do we have 2022? The figure was already down 23% from $3.5 billion generated in the same period in 2022. You see, so we're almost down by half since 2022. We're at 2.1. Pretty interesting. Dan Control. I don't care about the low market, the little money, the small influx of buyers. Long live creating and exhibiting in a serious way. I will do it as long as I can. Beautifully put, Dan. I couldn't agree with you more. I just couldn't agree with you more. If I earned some money every now and then, I wouldn't mind. This is exactly how I feel about it. And if you can earn a lot, even better, but it's sort of like... The point is, if you're an artist, you just love to do your practice and you love to put it out there, and money is great, but time is your ultimate judge, and you may not be here, to witness. I was just at an exhibition the other day and it was someone very famous. What exhibition was I at? Oh, it was Caspar David Friedrich. Caspar David Friedrich, big exhibition here in Berlin, famous, romantic painter. Center compositions remind me of William Blake, interestingly, another romantic. And died poor. And I don't mean to laugh, right? But to the point, but was Caspar David Friedrich, and the king, I can't remember the king there. It was Frederick the Great, I think, bought a few of his works. So it's not like he always did badly, but had a stroke. So maybe, and this wasn't the time of Social Security, okay, or workers' compensation or anything like that. So Caspar David Friedrich, but does he have any regrets, looking back? Were his angel or his soul to look back? Probably not. But who's to say? But all to say, I completely agree with Dan Control. Walk, who of course I follow, the great Walk. That is a glitch on X when you load up a billion tabs. Words collection actually sold out. So, and look at this for 0.01 ETH. So what is that? $30, I guess. Is that right? $30. So, and how many here? 2, 4, 5, 2, 4, 20, $600. Beautiful works, and people getting deals because I think you get the physical too. Is that right? Maybe you pay extra for the physical. Not sure, but just awesome. Beautiful. And again, remember we were talking about Christopher Wool? We were looking at Christopher Wool's work last week, almost no line break with the text. Kind of a similar idea here. Cider. One day all my collectors will have signed prints. That's my dream. At the beginning, it was hard to manage that, but it looks like it will become reality. So Cider continuing to make progress, it sounds like, on the physicals. Very important. Very, very important. Lone Wick. I'm constantly amazed by the power of stepping away from a project and returning in a different state. The break can be an hour, a day, a week, or longer. Much of the creative outcome is directly affected by what I eat, quality of sleep, and even just how recently I've eaten or slept. At one moment, the task is like trudging through mud. The next moment is zero effort for the same task. Luckily, these tend to flip from difficulty to easy within 24 hours. Very interesting. It all rings true to me. And the good news is if you're having difficulty, it can flip right back to easy before you know it. My sort of take on this is if you haven't made work for a while, or if you're kind of hit a block and you feel like you can't make another, masterpiece in your own mind, what I say is don't worry about what you make. The first day, just make work. And if it's terrible, that's fine. And if you keep doing that, what you're going to find is usually the second day starts to look a little bit better, and you start to be kind of encouraged that's looking better. And by the third day, you're like off to the races, and you feel like you've got a whole new work thing, and masterpieces are coming down the pipeline. So it's an interesting thing. My general sense of this is we're much better than we think. we tend to undermine our own abilities. And I'm constantly kind of surprised when I'm working and in the heat of how many great things will come out, at least things that I think are great as an artist. So, grounds for optimism, really. Unknown collector, with everything that has happened, we still have a core community. We need to speed up here. Creating, showcasing, collecting, and talking about art in Web3. So many things in crypto and NFTs have disappeared over the years. Projects, community types, so much came and vanished again. But we are still here because we care. This is not something that can be taken away from us by falling crypto prices. Exactly. Kind of back to Dan Control's point here. Lack of outside interest or fewer collectors. The foundation of this Web3 art scene exists because it needs to exist, driven by the need to love art together beyond everything else. In a sense, the momentum's there, so it's hard to stop now. So also, a rare token, so super rare, of course, the famous platform, one of the pioneers in the whole space, considering, this is by Super Rare Perkins, so I think one of the people at Super Rare, introducing Rare the Ethereum L2 for art. So a proposal for the DAO to turn the Rare token into a layer 2 for art. Very good idea, if you ask me. We were kind of discussing this maybe a month or two ago, how there should be an art blockchain. And even if you can start making, put everything on chain, can you get rid of international or interplanetary file service? Like, I would love if you can just put everything. I don't know why they don't build that. Maybe it's a technical issue. Artie Hans, how do you get ETH off base in less than a week? So, of course, layer 2s are not the be-all, end-all. They're Orbiter Finance. A lot of people use this. And actually, that's if you're on Zora as well, if you're trying to get your ETH right away. It doesn't work for me. Anyways, that's what I did. Do your own due diligence on all of that stuff, though. Stulka, who, of course, I follow. GM guys, it's been a minute. I'm working back. So awesome to see Stulka again. Back on the scene. Cool work. Just an awesome illustrator of, what I'd call contemporary illustration. Especially this work here with the video camera and the figure. Just kind of awesome. Can't wait to see Stulka. So as we move into the pieces here, Dan Control, I have what you need. So I didn't see, maybe we touched on this before, but these colored stripes are a very interesting addition here in this very graphic, exhibition. More meat here. Here we see pig's heads with this beautiful kind of lavender side. We see meat with a kind of this minimal, background here. Just the stripe and the head. I mean, it's kind of horrifying. It's probably supposed to be. And then this deep red. Very powerful by Dan Control. And here's another work from that exhibition, just a simple matte black background. And you see here things that, if you ever go to a butcher shop, you will see, or even the grocery store, auction starting under 0.1 upside down. So this is from the meat collection that we've been looking at in the last few days here. Here's waffles, also known as Kujeb, with some new sinks. So these are made on Nintendo 64. So, and these gorgeous clouds here that we're looking at here with a pink sky and some tape over top. It looks like, this is copy and pasted maybe from the internet and then kind of processed, transformed, we could say. Here's a heaven and there's a star for you. So more goodness from, and look at that hilarious outline from Kujib, Sync 07. We sync 12. I'll let the viewers read that. And again, one of these beautiful kind of cloud skies. And here we see another face here. And classic kind of Waffles works. Kind of looks pasted in from that other work that we saw. And thank you, Waffles actually sent me a work that we're looking at the other day, thrillingly. Thank you for that. Sync 11. Here's a popsicle. So this kind of, again, looks like a combination of stuff. Like it looks like a Nintendo 64 you can paste in work from other softwares, or at least do a copy and paste, right? There's, again, the clouds in the background. So kind of like a profile picture project to a certain degree. Sync 09. And here's another one. And again, you see the clouds in the background, different colors, and the tears and everything. So just very interesting. And settling for only 12 Tezos. Good deal. $10 for a Hasdrubal Waffle 1 of 1. Uxine Make. So here, interesting work here has the hat and then some brush strokes coming out of it, but almost suggesting the head. Very nice painterly work from Uxine, and we have some more. Look at this. And this is details. And of course, I follow the great Uxine here. Look at how cool this is when you look up close. Very pixelated, isn't it? We have some other works, so still kind of pixelated, interestingly. I mean, and here's some mushrooms, kind of a fuzzier outline on this one. And then you have almost like these hoses going into the mushrooms. Anyways, just fascinating work from Uxine. Here's one more. Kind of looking, I think maybe we looked at this one already, not sure. And looking like the body being sent into the flames, or the skeleton, minus the jaw, interestingly, as ever. An interesting framing device here with the matte black in the background and around. Almost a Passepartout of sorts. Digital Passepartout, Ornamental Hermit. So here's Gloomtube, still on the scene, awesomely. This, for whatever reason, this reminds me of the Picassos on the beach, the surreal phase of Picasso's career, kind of like the pinks and, or actually the kind of the beach colors and the pinks and everything. So here's Gloom on the beach with this, looks like kind of a hand or a crab coming out of a Del Monte or something. Some kind of monster coming out of a Del Monte, sweet peas aluminum can. So kind of a wild one here from Gloomtube. Ornamental Hermit, edition of 100, selling for a Tezos 50 and still available, by the way. 69 still available. And here's a 1 of 1 for 250 Tezos. And Bug Out. And here, just kind of hilarious, but more satire. Really, here's Raytheon, the weapons manufacturer, with what looks like a huge kind of cockroach or beetle on top with Gloom there. So, of course, bugs, death, Raytheon, interesting work. And what is this in the background? It's almost like a plane, or something with the sky and everything. So, more satire. In a sense, you could do a show of the satirists in this scene. Here's Yuri J. Just a Casual Kitchen. Not sure if we've seen this one before. I don't recall it. So again, Yuri J at work here with all the wonderfulness, the outlines of our lives, as we say out here. So very cool work. Here's Pamelo Chirone on Object. DJ Pam. Really thrilled to see Pamelo Chirone back on the scene, and just the energy and dynamism of the work is just really great to see. The originality, the prolificness. Edition of 5 for 420. Just great to see Pamelo there, just minted. Here's Katarina Create, Lost Somewhere. Edition of 10 for 3 Tezos. So again, here, all animated all across all the lines. Interesting kind of almost a fishbowl kind of frame here. And here flowers growing around it. So just cool work. This could almost be like on a ceramic or something, the way it's presented. Maybe, we're back to the physicals. Who was it that I was looking at who was doing sculptures, and it was just like so impressive. I don't know if it was Die with the Most Likes or someone else. May have been Die with the Most Likes. But again, imagine Katarina Create makes a ceramic, for example. Starts putting, has some physical works on the Instagram page. Very interesting. Okay, we got to run Mumble Boy, Eat In. So, of course, eating in rather than eating out. And here, more Mumble Boy, just collage here. Beautiful piece. Edition of 1 for 12 Tezos. Again, putting out almost a piece every day. Here's a collaboration between Mumble Boy and Santiago. A robot turtle drives away as everyone wonders where's the pie. Interesting use of negative space here. Very interesting. And there's a figure here of that Mumble Boy does. Here it seems like a bit of, look at this. Look at Santiago's wild kind of vector abstract, who knows, I know not what. Just beautiful work. Here's another super minimal work by Santiago. I don't know if we looked at this one. I find these minimal works weirdly powerful, and I feel like, unless it's my screen, there's a little bit of a gradient coming across here. Very interesting work. Very, very interesting work. That's Santiago. Here's R. Presti, Strato. I think this was in the community. Thank you for posting. Awesome work. Kind of pixel art abstract here. A pixel art Kandinsky of sorts. Very cool. Edition of 4 for 7 Tezos, just minted. And here, the wonderful Zuozo, also prolific, golden hour. Let's just... wonderful digital goodness here. Just a small kind of clip. Beautiful pinks. And there's the plant. Super interesting art. That sold for 30 Tezos. Also on a roll, bringing in real money. If you're making even 30 Tezos a day, that's real money. If you're getting it consistently, kind of like Nev 1914, that's real money. Here's Suisoichi, Reisa a Junior. Very interesting portrait. Kind of like video game-esque, but more. But it's kind of retro monitor, but more. Very nice. Here's another one. Suisoichi, Kids Are Not All Right, version 1. Ragnarok online editing. Just very, very interesting digital textures. Here's Cap'n. Lost and Found by Cap'n. This is on Rodeo, which is, I think, kind of Foundation's equivalent to Zora, where I think it's kind of free mints and everything. I'm not totally sure on that. So putting out kind of like something from Cap'n's gift shop. And there's Foundation on the... That's very cool. I like that. On the 3.5-inch floppy disk. Of course, I follow Cap'n there. And here's Rakuen, a pixel artist on Instagram. Very interesting. They could make a fortune, I think, on the blockchain, but I'm not sure if they post there. I haven't seen them ever on the blockchain. Here it is. Here's Purgatory Room 5 by Braindead. So the Genesis Mint on Super Rare. And so here it is. And again, very cool. Just a lot going on. These two pigeons kind of flying into each other. The time, the pixel art machine. So really taking things like what a year Braindead has had. Right? I mean, remember the hospital issue, the broken jaw, and then now selling for $1,200 the first work on Super Rare. Look how good the Super Rare site's looking, by the way. So a bid here, 0.33 ETH. So very nice. Now this is super fascinating. I was even tempted to start with this. This is Rip Cash. Now you say, oh, okay, it's some Rip Caches kind of boiled down to two colors. Bitcoin is a swarm. Okay, interesting. But for me, this is super fascinating because it brings up the whole issue of remixing. Anybody that's kind of really spent a lot of time with digital art, I would argue, has run into this thing where you see, like, there could be a million different variations of this. You can change the colors. Here it's a very nice kind of orange, deep orange and gray. This could be green and yellow. This could be black and white. This could be whatever. Again, very screen printable. It's like a one-layer screen print, or you paint underneath and then you screen print, or you do one color and then, I mean, colored paper, whatever you like. This is, and again, it's, put it this way, like say, like I see, and it's like, I've thought the same thing. Let's say, you make a synth and it's like, you know what? Every digital art make could be 1,000 other artworks quite easily without too much work. You put some rastering, you put some bit mapping, whatever. This is very interesting. So props to Ripcash for posting this, because maybe that's the revolution. It's not that, like, if you've worked in digital art, you've seen a million versions of your work that you can make. It's actually posting it and going, because, yeah, so to me, this was kind of like, to a certain degree, that was the headline in my head today. Yeah, so very, very, very interesting from Ripcash. Kind of a casual tweet, Bitcoin is a swarm. Element Lee, object. So kind of a different direction the last few works from Element Lee. So it's going to be really interesting to see what they do. Looks like 4 or 5 colors. Daily art, so continuing to put out work every day. Here is a beautiful work by Manidal. And I think this is just Manidal by themselves. Let's watch the sunset together with the cat. Almost making reference to the old video cameras with the text over here. And this beautiful, very charming work of the cat at sunset. And we even see a little bit of a glitch on the left there. Brilliant. 77 Tezos cents, practically free. Here, this was on the front page, Object. Nice work in curating from Object this morning. Losing Game, Shigurov. Very nice. Followed this artist, Press Start. Very cool. Just very, very interesting artwork here. New discovery. When your own shadow strikes farther than the shadow of the tree. This is Demon Ego, edition of 10. So new work by Demon Ego, again combining physical, digital, collage, painting, everything, and even animation. 10 Tezos and 3 gone so far. Congrats to Demon Ego. Here's Kyle Flemmer, and I really want to keep this under an hour. Look at how beautiful this is. The Hamburglar, Dream Big. Fantastic work from Kyle Flemmer, just beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, edition of 10, 1690, sold out. You know, you want to sell work, make some McDonald's work. $350, very reasonable price, by the way. And of course, the work itself ultimately sells that work. Beautiful. Denirus, Expo 4%, 10 Tezos, edition of 10. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Beautiful kind of glitch here. Nikita, this is called Wrath. Just an interesting digital artwork here. See some rasterizing in here as the lightning kind of color from the lightning shimmers through the whole work here. Interesting. Another kind of digital Passepartout of sorts here. And another super interesting, Lena Eckhart. Look at this digital. Radical. Really cool. Animated abstract from Lena Eckhart. Very nice. How much is this? Edition of 10, 5 Tezos. Have any sold? None sold yet. You can always just burn it down to 1 and probably sell it for like 30, 40, 50. Drain Cane, here's another one that is on Instagram. Interesting combination of digital. Looks like a figure there. Here is Vitek Visuals with another animated abstract. This is on Instagram. Continuing on, Acid Boy, GM, y'all, new full week of creativity. So Acid Boy on the scene here. A little preview of what might come. And continuing on, here's Renki with another, always keeping it fresh here. Interesting crop, interesting black background here. Kind of, you know, similar to that Dan Control, we were seeing that kind of 2-color background. Minimal background, very interesting. And you see these spheres kind of move across the screen. Always fascinating from Renki. Here is Ex Mortal with a beautiful landscape. Here, so glitch art landscape, loving the nature works. Here's also Ex Mortal, beautiful landscape here. Look at that sun. Wonderful textures here. Warm Sand at Night, edition of 10. I think this is sold out. So a very selective market, hey? It's either sold out or nothing, practically. Here's Max Capacity, another artist that, frankly, hasn't gotten enough attention on this program, just another oversight, which I'm trying to fix here. N1010, edition of 60. This came out in June. Sold out. So another really interesting analog video glitch artist. And here is Klaus, composition 157. So this is an older one, actually. Maybe we've seen this one, because I think we're well past 200 now. So indeed we are. So that popped up in the feed. So very cool. Yeah, we're at 242 from Klaus. Amazing. Here is Salawaki, episode 2, The President. So this, just giving a little clip here. Referencing the debate, seemingly. And again, always looks, this also, like simulacro, looks like it belongs in an institution. It's pretty cool. I mean, it looks and feels like contemporary art, doesn't it? So, very cool work. Open edition, only a Tezos 50. How many have sold? 45. Nice work. 82, actually. Some people buying more than one. Here's Stefan Dybus. I'm going to cut it off here very quickly here. Baby, don't hurt me. What is love? Okay. So Stephen Dybus with a work on Object. Very cool. Olivera Durdovic. Very cool AI-based digital artwork. Very interesting. Digital art, pixel art, AI art. Vanishing Point, 7 Tezos. Here's Tukes, another clue. Kind of reminds me of early Miro, actually, somewhat in this series. So a bit of a reveal there. Here's Santiago with an awesome AI artwork. Let's just zoom in on this. Look at these textures. Look at that. Very futuristic and wild looking. Beautiful. And here's another work by Santiago. Kind of has more of an anime feel. These are brilliant. Brilliant, brilliant. Here's Ile, Rainbow Landscape, Abstract Vision. So beautiful. This is using M props, beautiful digital painting here. And here's another one by Eilay, some skulls and the American flag, very topical. And here is Sulkian, aerodynamic on Arzora, just a wild artist here. I think I'm going to see Sulkian in Argentina, excitingly. Here's Machine, hilariously with the Italian boots, wearing the Italian boots. I think totally hilarious. Why haven't we seen this before? Brilliant idea. Here's another work by Machine, randomly spraying my followers, okay? And here is, right, she's doing portraits of her followers here. So people that submit a photo. Here is Martin Bruce doing more work with the airbrush, so joining the airbrush party here. Another cat, hilariously. And here's Bondoso Bandito. Also with kind of using, an airbrush artist, we could say, super fun. And a painting also, a beautiful painting here by Bondoso Bandito. Just a huge talent. And here's Nugget Brain. Look at this video. Here you see a lot of the brilliant, look at that. I've never even seen that work. Just a wonderful painting. This is part of a show at Albert Contemporary. Look at the sculptures. This is the artist I was thinking of. Doing sculptures, doing that brilliant work, works in progress. And you're going to see Nugget Brain paint the sky a little bit, I think, in one of these works. Again, sculpture. Should really be thinking about that. Look at this sculpture. Just kind of adds to the whole heft and vision of the show, doesn't it? Mysterious music intensifies. So fascinating. Look at this, more sculpture. Okay. And sculpture actually lends itself quite well to Nugget Brain's work. So look at that volume. I mean, really great artist here. Deserves the attention. One of my favorites. I'd love to have an original of this artist. Now, yeah, I think we can see the sky being painted in a second here. Because I want to show that, because it shows how raw this artist is. Might just have to move on here. But you see up close, beautiful texture. Here it is. See that? Like no special technique there. I mean, there is, and there's a sculpture. Anyways, that is your show, my friends. Thank you for joining me. And until next time, maybe I see you on Spaces with Tuna. Until next time, take care.